Welcome back to another episode of the Unwired Appalachia Podcast. First time in a long time.
Probably
First time in the new studio.
It's probably been about a first time in the year with me and you. So
yeah,
it has been a minute.
It's been a minute, and listen, I mean, that can only mean one thing, I guess, and that's that college football season right around the corner. I guess we're 2 weeks out at this point, and we're going to talk a little bit about the SEC, college football in general, UK, which, you know.
Yeah. I figure UK would be the main topic, but it might not be as long as we think because we might get mad and just quit talking.
Well, like I said before we got into this, if we start talking UK football too much, this thing can turn dark quick. So we'll start with the SEC just in general. We're in the NIL transfer portal era. A lot of new faces, new places. We'll start out with Kentucky. I don't even really know where to start, Randy. I guess we'll start Mark Stoops. You know, this is, for me, as down as I've been on Kentucky football in the Mark Stoops era.
Almost since mid-90s for me.
Yeah, and the bar's not that high, by the way.
Well, maybe the Joker era, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have to go back there.
Sure.
But there's not many where preseason you're like, man, where's our road to a bowl?
Right.
You don't even know if you can see that road.
Well, and just the SEC schedule in general these days is an absolute gauntlet. Louisville looks really good this year, but, you know, Kentucky, I think, right now, as we sit here, playing Toledo first week of the season, that's a good MAC team.
It could be a very interesting game.
I think we're kind of up in the air on quarterback. We're looking at Zach Calzada, the transfer from originally Texas A&M, but he went to Incarnate Word and maybe bounced around somewhere else. Cutter Boley, Bo Allen. I'm not sure we know exactly.
I would imagine if it starts today, it'd be not Boley or Allen. It would probably be the other. And I can't say I cannot say
that's Calzada. Yeah. You know, the defense, we've got a lot of transfers in on defense.
That could be our strong suit if we have one.
And it's kind of kept us in games the last couple of years. We've had some terrible quarterback play. I think we talked before we went on that. I'd talked myself into thinking we were going to be in good shape quarterback-wise the last 2 years, and that's just not played out.
Well, I couldn't get there the last couple of years because I watched them throw, and I'm a big guy on mechanics and the way the ball comes out.
Right.
People said Devin Leary had a big arm a couple of years ago. I never saw it. I mean, inaccuracy is where, like, you can have a big arm all you want, but if you can't hit a wide open receiver 10 yards down the field, what does it matter?
What's the point?
What does it matter?
And, you know, I know you're somebody, too, that kind of like me has been upset with play calling the last few years. And, you know, I want to like Bush Hamden, the offensive coordinator. We'll see. Hopefully I'm dead wrong about the quarterback play. Hopefully the offensive line, you know, is kind of restocked and we can get some at least decent quarterback play because it just hasn't been there since maybe Will Levis's first year.
Yeah, it's his first year. But here's the thing, though, Wes. Like, if you hear the coaches talking media days or in interviews in general all over, they seem to be high on this team. They think they're going to come in and compete and have a chance to win a lot of games. Now, they're the only ones I hear talking like that. Maybe, and they are the coaches. They're there every day. They might see something we don't. But, I mean, right now, just looking at paper, you know, they're picked 15th out of 16 in the SEC.
Yeah.
And some of these teams, the only one under them is Mississippi State. Arkansas is above them. And these are going to be some bad teams.
Yeah, they're going to be some bad teams. No, the SEC, I think it's safe to say at this point, the Big Ten's caught up. I mean, the NIL transfer era, back-to-back national champions in the Big Ten. No more Nick Saban, which is, you know, Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. You know, I think the SEC is still better on top than the Big Ten, but
well, overall the SEC, because even if you look at the preseason standings, they got Oklahoma ranked 10th, Tennessee 9th. Mm-hmm. Tennessee, if you look at their schedule, they got a chance to win 10 games, Wes.
I think even with losing Nito, speaking of last names that are hard to say, Iamaliava, I think even with losing them, they bring in Joey Aguiar, who was at Appalachian State, I believe, last year. That's still a good roster. That's still a good team. I think, as bad as I hate to say it, I think Josh Heupel's a good coach.
It seems like right now it is, and that's hard for us to say because when we're looking at, UK schedule, what teams can we beat really? I mean, it's going to be tough for us in the SEC. Once league play start, this team could get exposed very, very quickly.
Very quick. And I think it's really going to come down to a lot of things we just don't know. How's the O-line going to protect whoever's playing quarterback?
When you don't even know who your quarterback is at this time of year, how can you have high expectations? Especially as a fan. Now, like I said, the coaches, they might be seeing other stuff that we're not. But as a fan, you got to know who your quarterback is at this time of the year. I mean, you have to know who the leader of the team is.
And being a Kentucky fan, we already live a pretty tortured existence, football-wise. But, yeah, that first game with Toledo's going to be a test right off the bat because they're a good MAC team. That's a team that scares me right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming in. And then, there's no breaks. Ole Miss, and what we did to Ole Miss last year, was that our only SEC win last year?
I believe so.
It may have been. But Lane Kiffin's going to want some get back. We went to Oxford and won that game last year.
And they're saying this could be the best Ole Miss team of all time. And they're, preseason 7?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of talent all over that field. Even though they lost Jackson Dart, they're still excited about their guy coming.
Simmons, I think. Yeah.
So.
And there's 10 SEC teams in the preseason top 25, which preseason top 25s are,
Yeah, they mean nothing.
Who knows? And Ole Miss, like a lot of other SEC teams, question mark at the quarterback spot on, what they're going to get from that position.
Texas is number 1 overall preseason.
First time ever, by the way, which is a crazy stat. Texas has never been ranked preseason number 1. They've been number 1 in the poll.
They should be. I mean, honestly, they should with what they have coming back and the roster. I can see whether number 1. They probably got more back on offense and defense than probably just about anybody else in that top 10. When you look at the SEC teams there that's with them, a lot of holes. Georgia, again, you don't know what's going quarterback going through. Run game last year wasn't very good. Should be better this year, but last year not very good. Now defense, they should be good. You look at Ohio State, one of the best Ohio State teams in a long time last year, winning the national title. Got some two great players coming back this year.
Maybe the best receiver we've seen.
Maybe
best Smith.
And then on the other end of that safety, maybe the best player in college football.
Caleb
Downs. So they might have the best 2 players, but they've got holes everywhere else. But
that will be a lot like what we were talking about. Big question mark at the quarterback.
Absolutely, quarterback. I mean, but they got talent and they got speed. So that early one, Texas, Texas and Ohio State opens up. Then you look at say Alabama. They're ranked top. They should be in most people's top 5. A lot of talent on that roster.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't know about the coaching staff right now. I think that's a big if.
Well, and Kalen DeBoer, I'm not sure if that's a winnable situation, stepping in for Nick Saban.
I mean, offensive line, dominant.
Yep.
Defense looks like they should be dominant. I mean, can you get everybody together and win the big games? Like, he's looked good in regular games, but the big ones, and it's the same thing for LSU. They might be, since the Joe Burrow team, it might be the talent might be just a step behind this year, but it's still talented. But can they win the big games as well? I mean,
Brian Kelly historically not been able to get it done in those moments, the big games, and taking his team to a national championship. I mean, he had some loaded teams at Notre Dame, was never able to get over the hump. He's probably got his best team. By the way, we're going to have to see Barrion Brown catching touchdowns for LSU, which could be...
It could be painful to watch but since he's been there, I know me and you have talked about, man, this kid could be one of the best receivers in the country. I mean, the talent level's through the roof. That's a big loss. I mean, this kid, he might blow up this year at LSU, and you can see him playing Sundays next year very easily.
I don't think we made a point to get him the ball nearly enough last year. I mean, he's such an electric playmaker, and LSU has tons of those this year. So, yeah, we'll see what they do. Garrett Nussmeier probably going to be one of, if not the best quarterback in the SEC. So yeah, I mean, do you have somebody right now as we sit here today that you like to maybe not win the conference, but do you have two teams that you're like, okay, I like these two teams to be in the championship game?
You know, I think Tennessee's schedule is.
Yeah.
I'm not a Tennessee fan.
No, they're a soft schedule.
Soft schedule. LSU's talent, I love, but I mean, it's really going to come down to the Texas, Bama. I think it's going to be somebody like that. But if there is somebody who makes a run, it could be a South Carolina, it could be a Tennessee. I would say Tennessee just because of the schedule. I really like LSU's roster. I've been, talking about it a lot. I think that they have a really talented team, but can they get? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I would say in the East, if I had to pick right now, I'd probably pick Tennessee as a shocker. I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, he's crazy."
Well, they were right there last year.
Most people are going to pick Georgia just because that's the team in the East right now. South Carolina with their safeties and their defense,
Lenore Stellar,
they're going to be really, really good. Texas A&M, a lot of people like Texas A&M. A lot of people likes that Florida run game. To me, though, I think everything else, these schedules are so hard. But if I had to pick a team in the East, I go Tennessee. Team in the West, I don't know. I guess Texas.
Yeah, and
what about you? Who do you like? Now?
I like Texas A&M as a dark horse. With Marcel Reed, quarterback, they return a running back, couple of running backs. So I do like Texas A&M. I just assume Georgia's going to be there. They're loaded on defense. Gunnar Stockton played last year, second year in the system. So I think Georgia ends up probably coming into the championship game or into the playoff. But this could be one of those years where the SEC eats their own. It's just a Campbell, you could see 3 lost teams in that playoff from the SEC that have just, lost games that maybe they shouldn't have. But I do like Tennessee, as bad as I hate to say that. And Florida, I think, is a case where we might see Billy Napier get fired before the season's over. That team's loaded. There's no excuse for them not to be in the hunt. I'm not sold that he's that good a coach.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, his time is now or never. He has to prove himself. But we probably need to start looking overall at college.
Yeah, overall college football.
Like we can still include some of these SEC teams in it because they're going to be in the mix, obviously. All right, Wes. I mean, just kind of moving away from the SEC a little bit and looking at the broader picture of college football, the whole thing, and you can include these SEC teams in it too if you think they're going to be right now. But who's a team right now that you think at the end of the year could be right there if everything goes their way?
Well, I don't know if it's a dark horse because they are number 2 in the preseason poll, but I think with the question marks around James Franklin being able to get it done, get over the hump at Penn State, I love the roster. Returning Drew Aller, quarterback, top 2 running backs, top receivers. Defense is loaded again. I could definitely see that being a team that, plays in the college football playoff national championship. The question has always been, can James Franklin beat Michigan? Can he beat Ohio State? And they went on a little run last year, and that I could see them getting into the playoff and finally getting over that hump. Also like SMU. Now, I know SMU was in there last year. A lot of people thought they shouldn't have been, but I love that roster, and those are 2 teams I could see maybe not winning national championship, being right there in the end. Is there somebody that you kind of stands out to you?
You hit on mine, Clemson. I really like Clemson. Defensively, might have the best defense in the country coming back, especially on their defensive line, the edge and tackle. I mean, they've got guys everywhere. If you get after the other team's quarterback, it pays off. They've got that. Clemson's big thing to me is quarterback Cade Klubnik.
Yep.
Can he get over the hump? When he was coming in, he had all this hype. He's not delivered yet. Should be have all the experience in the world right now coming back. Can he put it together this year and get them there? Because if you look at it, their schedule is set up for them to make a run. And to do this, you've got to have a favorable schedule. And I think they've got all the pieces there. Other than them, though, I like LSU overall. But again, coaching wise, can they get there? I don't know. I don't even know if they come out of the SEC. I mean, that's one of the things. So
Yeah, that's fair.
it's going to be, like you said earlier, I think the SEC might eat each other up.
Yeah, and with this 12-team playoff, I just think it's more wide open than it's ever been. You go back 10 years ago, you knew who was going to be. Bama was going to be in the mix. Ohio State was going to be in the mix. Right now, I'm not so sure that there's not 15 teams in the country that a couple of things go their way and they find their way into that playoff. And we saw last year, getting into that playoff, getting hot, you can make some things happen, win some games.
Piggybacking off of that was Notre Dame last year. That was the team who got hot in that playoff, had favorable matchups.
Lost to Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois, a small team, but they at the end of the year, that defensive line was playing well. That offensive line was playing well. They do return a running back. What's his name? Jeremiah Love. Yeah. He could be one of the top running backs in the country. Don't know about quarterback play right now with those guys. That's a big question.
Big question mark.
But last year, they didn't throw it a lot. So, that could play if their style of play. They remind me last year of a Georgia team. So, do they do that again? If they do that again, they could be right there.
And one thing you can always guarantee about Notre Dame, they're going to play a pretty soft schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be big up front, and they run the ball really well right now. And generally, they play pretty good defense here in the last few years. So, I mean, you think Notre Dame's probably going to be in the mix. It's just fun to see how all this unfolds with the 12-team playoff. They've talked about expanding it to 16 teams. I kind of like it at 12.
It probably makes more sense at 16 because that way you don't like right now. I feel like some of these bubble teams are left out, like who could go in there and win. But right now, it's 12 is very interesting. It's a good start. I think 16 is where they need to be, especially this era of college football where we don't have one dominant team.
Right.
Now, years past, I don't know if it even matters with having some of these dominant teams. But right now, I think that it's perfect for 16. Who knows how the season unfolds because guys come out of nowhere, quarterbacks emerge. Receivers emerge, every year somebody comes out, but so you don't know how some of these teams are going to really come together. It's just like right now we're a little down on UK, but if they if they come together and win a few games, that's one of the things that we could be very excited about at the end of the year.
As delusionally optimistic as I've been the last 3 years about UK football, I'm hoping that the fact that I'm this down on them is a good sign. I'm hoping that they prove me wrong. Do we think Mark Stoops is the coach? As we're sitting here this time next year, is Mark Stoops still the coach at UK?
Right now, I say yes, but I think they're like if they have just the worst imaginable year they can have, no, because that seat's starting to get hot, and I think Stoops is, he deserves to be coached there for a while. He's done a great job, but he's starting to get a little stale. He's really not adjusted well to this transfer portal, especially with the quarterback. Everywhere else, I think he's done pretty good.
Yeah, and you made a point before we came on. It's similar to Cal. It's just kind of gotten stale with what we've seen from him. And the bar is not super high. We want to make a Music City Bowl. Maybe pull off a couple upsets of bigger teams during the season.
Every once in a while, we want to beat Florida. Every once in a while, we want to beat Tennessee.
I'd love to beat Florida every now and then. Yeah, love to beat Tennessee. We don't want to lose to Louisville often.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, again, we don't have to touch too much on Louisville.
They could have pretty good. They could have a pretty good season this year as well. I mean, in that ACC, they could be right there in the top 2 to 3 teams at the end of the year.
Yep. And Miller Moss comes in from USC, new quarterback. They get Isaac Brown, who's their running back last year, back. So that's a team that could be really, really good. But I got to tell you, if Mark Stoops, going back to him, if we lose that opening game to Toledo, that seat's going to get significantly hot.
Really, really hot, really, really fast. I think it's gotten hotter on him just here recently because of a guy like John Gruden being on Barstool and talking about how he wants to go to the SEC and coach one of the teams like a Kentucky or a Texas A&M or one of the lower teams to see if he can build them up. Now, if that's probably unfair to Stoops, but people hear that.
Yeah. People hear that.
They hear John Gruden wants to come to the SEC and to a smaller team. Now,
I'm-
could he build them up? Who knows? But people are hearing that, and they're starting to get a little excited. You hear people talking about, you think Gruden's going to show? I'm like, that's just kind of came out of nowhere to me, but people are talking about it.
Yeah, and the second he said that, you started seeing instantly posts on Facebook, Instagram with John Gruden in Kentucky gear.
Yeah.
I just don't see a chance.
And I don't think that's very fair to Mark Stoops at this point, especially because the season hasn't. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Say this team puts it together and they have one of their best seasons, that can get us quiet real quick.
There is a world where Zach Calzada or one of these Kentucky quarterbacks on that depth chart come out and has a solid season.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to see that.
To me, that's been his biggest problem here. Quarterbacks. They don't develop anybody. They, instead of whoever they recruit in and trying to work and develop them, they're just going in and recruiting over the guys that they're bringing as freshmen. So it doesn't matter if you get 3 stars, 4 stars. They're going and trying to find somebody quick and who does not have the skills as some of these other guys that they could develop. Like, you've got to put an emphasis on developing the players there and giving them a hope that they're going to play in the future.
That's right. And I'm sure Bo Allen and Cutter Boley have felt that way. They see a guy like Zach Calzada come in. I'm sure all these guys love to compete, but, Cutter Boley saw a little bit of playing time last year. I mean, I'm sure he thought maybe it was his time up. Zach Calzada is a guy that wasn't good at Texas A&M, goes to Incarnate Word, and on a lower level of football, obviously looks good. But at this point, I've talked myself the last 3 years into thinking our quarterback play was going to be really good, and it was off. Yeah. So this year, I've just tried to kind of stay grounded with it. If he's good, he's good. That's great. Hopefully,
hopefully this team comes together and, even if it's identity, finding an identity, running the ball, not throwing it as much, whatever. But, I mean, we'll have to probably wrap this one up here pretty soon. So, any last words on college football?
No, I mean, it's just arguably the greatest time of year. So looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll sit down sometime the next couple of weeks and maybe talk some NFL. A little bit of a brighter subject, the Bengals,
Very, very excited for the Bengals.
Very excited. The complete opposite of the way that I feel about Kentucky. Yeah, we're back on the horse, man. I was going to be back talking football with the boys again.
Yeah, it's been way too long.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next time.